What's up guys, it's Fire here, and today I'm going to be doing the first daily kind of vlog thing that you guys wanted me to do with these questions that I've been getting from the World Finals. So I'm going to be picking 3 questions from my inbox that kept turning up over and over again. They're not going to be obvious questions either. I'm just going to answer them and explain them for you now, and hopefully we can all learn something. So the first question then is, why did Vayne camp the duo lane all game instead of trying to shut down Faker in the Lemondogs vs SK Telecom T1 game? Now this is actually a really good question because Faker is SK Telecom's T1 superstar, so you would have assumed that people were going to be trying to shut him down rather than anyone else. But it's not actually about SK Telecom T1's squad, it's about Lemondogs. So if you look at their lineup, they have Vayne, Malphite, Swain, Corki and then Thresh. Now the only damage source mid game for them is going to be Corki. Swain takes a while to get going, and Malphite and Vayne are pretty much there just to be tanks. So that means that if they want to fight mid game, if they want to have any pressure mid game, they're relying on Corki to get big. Now this is the sole reason why Vayne camps top lane over mid lane. They need to get Corki going. It's nothing to do with Vayne and shutting him down or shutting Faker down. It's just Lemondogs playing the game to how they want to play it with their lineup. Now the other interesting thing to realise as well is SK Telecom T1 have realised exactly what I've just said, and they've sent their duo lane top instead of allowing Corki to have a 2v1. Now this is pretty much just because they don't want Corki to free farm. They want to pressure him still, and you can pressure someone easier in the 2v2 lane, even if it does mean that Vayne camps top a lot and Vayne gets shut down a little bit. They're relying on their other lanes to get ahead. They're running a triple threat comp because Elise and Ahri are also going to do a lot of damage in team fights, so they can afford to sacrifice Vayne's early game a little bit and just have him ramp up at the end. Okay then, so second question is, why did Lemondogs engage that last fight against SK Telecom T1 when Thresh wasn't there and it lost them the game? This is a question that a lot of you asked me yesterday, and I really wanted to feature that first question first because it kind of leads on to this one. So Lemondogs did force this a little bit too hard, but I will explain the thought behind it because they were just trying to force because they were so far behind and win the team fight. Now Ahri had used her ultimate on Thresh, and even though Thresh was base, it meant that Corki was pretty safe during this fight. Ahri's ultimate was actually the major issue for Corki, which is why he bought that Banshee's Veil early, and was a major threat for him in team fights. So with that down, it meant that he could actually output a lot more damage and be a lot safer because he didn't have to worry about Ahri. Now that's the reason why they engaged, and I actually talk about the engage very quickly. So Malphite caught Vayne under turret, but Vayne tumbled away, so actually he didn't catch him under turret, which kind of screwed up the whole engage for them. So after that, Vayne and Swain tried to follow up onto Vayne after that Malphite ultimate, and unfortunately it was just a little bit too late because the entire SK Telecom T1 team was there defending him. Now it wasn't actually a bad engage, but we have to look at why they lost that, and the reason they lost it pretty much was Swain was still really weak. He had an Abyssal Scepter and a Rod of Ages, and that was it. He didn't have his Zhonya's Hourglass, he didn't have a Death Cap, so he's not actually outputting that much damage at the moment. Now Corki actually put out a lot of damage that fight, which he wouldn't have been able to in any other fight because Ahri was going to kill him. So even though Lemondogs lost this fight, it was kind of the right idea. If they waited for the Ahri ultimate to come back up, then they would have just done what he did to Thresh and probably done that to Corki, which would have been even worse. So it was a good idea, but it just wasn't executed properly, and SK Telecom T1 are way too far ahead at this point for that to come back and work. Alright then, so finally the third question is the question I got asked the most, and it is the strangest question, so I understand why you guys weren't sure, and it's, why did OMG's Sam build Sorcerer Shoes instead of Berserker Greaves in the OMG vs SK Telecom T1 game? So this is a pretty weird move, I'm not going to lie, it's not standard, and I don't recommend you take it into solo queue, but there is reasoning behind why he did that. So to understand why he did it, you kind of have to look at Corki's kit, and Phosphorus Bomb does magic damage, his Valkyrie does magic damage, and his Missile Barrage does magic damage as well. So what does this tell you about Corki then? He rushes Sorcerer Shoes after the Triforce, so it means that really he's going for ability damage, he's not going for auto attack damage, he just wants to do as much poke as possible with his Q and his R, and he wants to whittle down the enemy before they engage. This is pretty much how OMG played the game. They didn't let SK Telecom T1 engage, they just sat there and poked with Corki over and over again and forced SK Telecom T1 back and just took objectives. So the other reason this worked as well is the Triforce. It's not just Corki's kit, it's the 200% Spellblade on an auto attack after using ability. So if you activate your R, it actually activates your Spellblade as well. And it does a huge amount of damage on every missile. That's why Corki's so strong, and that's why he's pick and ban at the moment. So that's pretty much why he got it then. He just wanted his rockets to do as much as possible, and it's not necessarily a bad idea, but obviously Wild Turtle showed us the other side of the coin where you get Triforce into Infinity Edge, Berserker Greaves, and you wreck face with that as well. So Corki's just in a really strong position at the moment. It does kind of make sense to build Sorcerer Shoes, but I think there are better options in the cooldown boots and also the Berserker Greaves. So thanks for watching guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Obviously I've never done anything like this before, so it's a little bit different to me. My current plan at the moment is I release a video every other day, and I was going to release these vlogs in between those. So for this week while the Worlds are on, I was going to release a video every day for you, so you get these question and answers as well as your normal content on the channel. Please let me know if you think this is a good idea or not in the comments below, and as always please do like and subscribe this video if you enjoyed it. Go like my Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and I'll catch you in the next video.